About the last thing you'd expect the folks at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to have to deal with would be elephants. But while African elephants are not native to U.S. shores, they have a habit of ending up here. So the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is now in the business of assisting in conservation efforts for this threatened species through its authority over wildlife regulations domestically. And some are not happy or satisfied with the most recent decisions. On April 1st, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service issued new rules pertaining to the importation of both live elephants and elephant parts stemming from sport hunting in Africa. These rules tightened up some restrictions regarding the animals compared to what was happening before. Namely, the agency is now requiring that any organization importing wild-caught elephants from Africa will now have to demonstrate that they have the facilities and resources to properly care for the animals for the rest of their lives. Then there are the animal parts, which are often kept as trophies from sport hunting and ivory, a hard white material derived from the elephant's tusks. Ivory is prohibited across the board for importation with very few exceptions already, so no one's really fussing over that. However, with the new rules, trophies from sport hunting brought into the United States will now only be allowed from states with existing conservation programs and laws in place which conform to international wildlife trade requirements under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, often referred to as CITES. Well, some have responded saying the new rules don't go far enough, and some are adamant that the new rules go too far. The Animal Welfare Institute responded quickly with a press release on the not far enough front. While AWI did note appreciation for tightening the rules, the organization is imploring regulators to completely prohibit these imports altogether. African elephants are imperiled due to poaching, habitat loss, and human-elephant conflict, said Johanna Hamburger, director and senior attorney of AWI's Terrestrial Wildlife Program. They should not face additional threats from trophy hunters and facilities that capture and relegate them to a diminished life on display. Such captures serve no conservation purpose. No elephant brought into or born into captivity is ever returned or released into the wild. It is time to end the exploitation of elephants for entertainment and profit by prohibiting all elephant imports. The Animal Welfare Institute also advocates for an end to trophy hunting and wants those imports prohibited as well. On the other end of the spectrum is Safari Club International, which supports hunter-centric conservation programs. SCI responded to the ruling by launching a lawsuit against the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which they say is overstepping its mandate with the new restrictions. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's recent rule on elephant imports is contrary to the letter and spirit of the ESA and CITES, said W. Laird Hamilton, CEO of Safari Club International. SCI is proud to be one of the few pro-hunting conservation organizations with in-house counsel, allowing us to mobilize lawsuits swiftly. We will continue to engage however necessary to hold the Biden administration accountable while safeguarding hunting, conservation, and communities that rely on hunting tourism in the range states. SCI asserts that the 7 range states in southern Africa, which host 81% of the African elephant population, were against the new rules, which they also say hurts local communities. Safari Club International says that legal elephant hunting in these areas is an important management and conservation tool, and that these restrictions will do nothing to prevent poaching, human-wildlife conflict, or protect biodiversity. They also complain that these regulations infringe on the sovereignty rights of the African nations in the region. Everyone agrees that the African elephant is in need of help, but just how that help takes shape is a point of contention, demonstrating that making a commitment to the welfare of wildlife isn't always a cut-and-dry proposition. And being the one making the rules isn't always the most popular chair at the table. Don't stop here. Find out more. Visit the links in the description below for more in-depth information on the stories presented in this video.